What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Super Gamer Boys. I'm your host, Colonel and Dad, Garrett Morlang, and here in the virtual studio with me is the resident power washer extraordinaire, Adrian Homeboy Holmes. What's up, Adrian?
I'm not much, man. I'm just here, hot off the press of our new Forza Motorsport preview that we went to. Xbox, flew us out to New York, and I was able to
provided
put
by
up
Xbox.
Yeah, provided by Xbox. I was able to put up a tweet about my impressions of the demo. So if you want to go and check that out, it's a pretty accurate game. The handling is really good, and I was surprised at how true to life it was. So
yeah, go check that out. Twitter,
yeah, looking forward to it.
x.com/homeboy, right?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Go find that hot tweet over there.
What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I have been renovating the SGB studios over here. It doesn't look like it here because I've not been renovating this one. But next door, brand new office, 2 times the size. So double the space, that means double the content, right? No promises, no promises.
I was gonna say, you're on your own with that one. I'm not gonna put you in that cage. I'm not doing that.
No, I'm not gonna kill myself. My parents are in town, which is, I was in Seattle last week. That's why we didn't have an episode. Super awesome time. We have good friends up there, and plus Washington's beautiful. I love Washington so much, especially the Seattle area. We got to see the Adventure Zone, the McElroy brothers live.
How was that?
Freaking amazing. So good. It's my second time doing it. I saw them in San Jose once, and then now up in Seattle, because it was during PAX was happening right now. So it was funny. I was like, why in the world are they up there? I'm like, oh, the same reason they're in San Diego about like a couple months ago for Comic-Con here, PAX going on up there. But yeah, super awesome, great time. And then we came back, and my parents were in town. I'm like, all right, well, been wanting to renovate the other half of my horse barn that my office is built in. I say half, it's more like, I think it's a little more than double the size. So I'm stoked to get it all finished. We got walls up. My parents painted today while I was working, and hopefully by the end of the week I can start shifting some of the
you have so much more room, man.
The junk in this office over there. Yeah, I know. I was like standing in the middle at one point. I'm like, I can actually like move my arms and not touch both walls at the same time. I could play VR games in here. I could work out, I could do things. I could have I can have my work desk and my computer here. I can have a desk.
I'm worried about you and all this new freedom. I don't know if you're going to be able to handle it.
I probably not. I'm just going to sit in the middle of the room,
Garrett,
in the fetal position.
We got a show tonight. You can't be playing VR right now.
I can do a show during VR. We can just start a VR show. There we go. We do
VR
a show
chat?
in VR chat. Yeah.
That would be interesting. We have to figure out a way to capture the feed.
Maybe we need to, at this point, Super Later Boys, it seems like it's dead in the water because freaking JJ keeps bailing on us. Sorry to throw him under the bus. We already talked about this before. So maybe we need to pivot to Super Later Boys being a VR chat where we, like, you and me jump in VR chat. We find one other random person to just talk to and interview.
Yo, this might actually be great. just us like walking through the VR chat space, just talking to people about stuff. Hey, you guys want to talk about? Just find a room full of people and just see what they say. Oh, that might be great. You might have stumbled onto something.
Oh no, or something really horrible. I feel like it can go either way. VR chat can go both ways. They're gonna have some really awesome, of it, though. Wholesome people, or like we're gonna be doing a lot of
some
editing.
Degenerates. Yeah.
Oh man. We might be onto something. Maybe we need to talk about that a little later. But yeah, so I'm excited for that. Maybe next episode, I'll be in the new office. Fingers crossed if everything goes okay and the walls don't cave in or something. I did help put the walls up, so they may cave in. There's a very good chance of that. Oh, man. But, well, cool. Today, we're going to be talking about Starfield reviews as well as our first impressions. That's right. We've been playing the game, even though we apparently hate the franchise and hate Xbox with all of my being, but even though we were right that it's okay, but hear about those impressions later, as well as our thoughts on PS Plus prices skyrocketing and how there won't be any Zelda DLC. But first, let's give a quick shout out to our Patreon producers, Bumple Smash, Eddie Martin, and Kajoma01, and our Super Gamer sponsors, Julie Bates and Mama Bear. If you want to be awesome just like those folks, you can head over to patreon.com/supergamerboys, supporting us over there for starting at just at $1. $1 gets you episodes early and ad-free, such as this show, and Super Later Boys whenever we get a chance to record one of those. I feel really bad for our Patreon supporters. You're supposed to get one in the end of August, so thank you for bearing with us.
Yep.
The plan is to get the August episode up, and you'll still get one in September, but yeah, we're just working on the third guest, because the thought is, if it's me and Adrian just do a show, well, that's just this show again. So why do the same show twice?
Maybe we'll do an XL, like we'll do double the length of what a regular one is, and then that could cover September and August. Yeah. Or if we have a lot of cool friends. We just need to ask one of them, be like, hey, do you want to come just chill with us for an hour and talk about whatever you want? Maybe that'd be cool. So stay tuned for that. Again, apologies, but it is coming. It is in the works. But yeah, you get those episodes early and ad free, as well as this show, not just Super Later Boys, which is a Patreon exclusive show, but you get this episode early and ad free. And there's more tiers that we're going to talk about later on in the show. But real quick here before we tiers. Yes, I see what you did there.
Before we get on further into the show, I do want to give a quick shout out to DJ Trues for allowing us to use his music here on the show. We appreciate you very, very much, and everyone listening needs to go show him some love and support, please. If you have Apple Music, if you have Spotify, it's not costing you any extra. You already have a subscription, so go give their songs a listen, add them to your playlist, heart their albums and their artist pages and all that. Show some love to DJ Trues. Links will be in the description on YouTube. And
also, congratulations, he just finished a 100-day consecutive stream marathon.
Wild.
He streamed every day for 100 days and ended it with a 24-hour stream. Dude's a beast. Go show him some love. Go follow him. He's everywhere, especially on Twitch. Dude's gonna blow up, and he's gonna. I told him, don't forget us when you get big.
Yeah, Trouser Schnauzer is his Twitch handle there. So, unless he's changed, has he actually changed it to DJ Twitch Trues yet?
I don't believe.
Okay, I think I know on YouTube. You can
still find him if you search that name.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I know on YouTube it's DJ Trues, but on Twitch where he streams, it's Trouser Schnauzer still, I think. Mm-hmm. But yeah, congrats, dude. That's crazy. 100 days straight, and then to end it with a 24-hour stream. Like, he's already worked so hard. He's like,
he's a machine.
One last push. So good. All right, it's now that time of the show where I need to hit some buttons over here and see if I can boot up the old Super Gamer Bot. Let's see.
Give it a kick.
Let's make this fast, fellas. I put down Starfield for this.
Oh,
okay, good grief.
Okay.
All right, well, let's go then.
I would love to hear Super Gamer Bot's first impressions of Starfield. I mean, obviously they're loving it. If they're that upset about having to ask us a few questions. But
good
all right,
grief.
Jeez,
just that attitude chip.
Right. All right. Here's the first question. I believe is from Hophead Ed.
What's your Mount Rushmore of point-and-click games?
Ooh.
Okay. Mount Rushmore point-and-click games. This was a hard one because there's not a lot of modern point-and-click games. Like, it's definitely more of a retro kind of style of game.
Mm-hmm.
Which doesn't necessarily mean you can't have a Mount Rushmore of them. But for me personally, I haven't played a lot of them. Like, it was actually hard to put this list together. I was just like, it's like really thinking hard and kind of stretching the term, I think. Some of them you might be like, that's not point and click, but I think everything I picked has point and click elements in it.
I was gonna say, I think if the majority of the elements or the way you interact with it is point and click, then it'll count.
So, do you have one you'd like to shout out first, or are you still need a second to think?
I got at least 3 that I can think of, and then maybe you can come in.
Yeah. I got 4. I
you
got 4
you
here.
got your own 4? Okay. All right. Well, my first one is, of course, one of my all-time favorites is 2064 Read-Only Memories. I think it's a phenomenal game. Everybody should play it. It's a point and click. I almost don't even want to say what it really is. It's just a point and click adventure game with excellent voice acting. It's beautifully done. Art style is
Super
great.
Gamer Book Club on it, which is available on past podcast feeds and over at youtube.com/supergamerboys for free.
Right. That does have spoilers though.
Does have spoilers.
But definitely check it out. It's always, I mean, it's pretty cheap, but it's worth every penny. I bought the collector's edition from Limited Run because I'm such a big fan of it. I got pins on my pin board back here from it because I'm a huge fan of that game, and I cannot wait for the sequel.
I've been jamming to the soundtrack lately.
It's fire.
When I played the game, I loved the soundtrack, and I don't know, in my head, I just assumed like I wouldn't be able to listen to it unless I played the game. And then I think it was like a month or so ago, you put out a tweet about one of the songs, and I was just like, why didn't I ever think of that? Of course the soundtrack is on streaming service. I'm an idiot. And I immediately added it to my Apple Music playlist that I just play every time I get in the car. It's like autoplay basically. So one of mine, I have I played it on Switch. I think it's on everything pretty much, but I played it on Switch. Jenny the Clue Detective Vu.
Woo, another banger.
That was such a surprise. I wasn't sure what to expect going into it. I was just like, I've never heard of this franchise, and it's not like it was more like I heard about it like word of mouth through someone else I knew. It was actually, I think one of our friends over at the Super Best Friend Video Game Sleepover podcast, they either know the developer or like know of him or connected with him before or something like that. So it's something where like I remember they were tweeting about it and talking about it, and I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. You know, it's always on sale for like $2. Come buy this game. It's crazy.
It's
I'm like,
steal.
all right, $2. I'll give this a shot. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. And then it's like ends, and I think I've talked about it. Like I've talked about this game before, and you know, kind of mentioned at the end, but like it ends with a cliffhanger to a sequel, and I'm just like waiting. Please.
You're gonna wait a while. Do you know how long the development time was for this one?
I don't know. I'm sure it was a while because everything is like looks hand drawn. Like it's like a really cool like art style. So it's like, oh, it's gonna take a while.
It went through an overhaul because I remember I actually met this team too back at PSX when they were showing it off.
Wow.
And this was like before they decided to do that. And it was before they even were gonna have full on voice acting. And then they decided to add that in later because it was going to just be a text adventure.
Yeah.
So over time, that's why it took so long, is because they overhauled it and then they added voice acting, and now we got the game that we got. But even back then, the preview was interesting. There was a lot of people at the booth. Yeah. So I'm glad it came out, and I'm glad it's great. But yeah, you ain't getting a sequel anytime soon.
Bummer. It's a good game.
It's great.
Go buy it. It's always on sale, and show them some love and support. They make a good game over there. Do you have another one?
I do. It is 2064's pseudo sister game. It's called Valhalla. It's spelled a little weird. It's VA. How do I put it? It's hang on. I got the box over here. It's VA1/LL-LL Hall-A. It is a cyberpunk bartending action game in their words. So basically you play the role of a bartender. This is in the most simplest forms I can explain it, is you play the role of a bartender who makes drinks for the people who come in, and you have conversations with them, and you can, learn more about people and what they like, and, different information about what's going on in town. And sometimes some of the characters from 2064 actually show up as patrons at the bar. So that's kind of like how they're sister games, because they're set in the same universe. Yeah,
I still have not played it. I need to give it a shot sometime, because you talk about it all the time. Like, what am I doing with my life?
It's a fantastic game. Can't recommend it enough.
Sweet. I also had 2064 read-only memories. Actually, I had something else, and then you, before the show, mentioned that. I'm like, oh, yep, no, that 100% has to be on the list. So that's, let's see, that's two of mine, but I'll give a third real quick. I also had Fallout 2, the old, before Bethesda, because I think, before Bethesda owned the IP, I forget who it was, but it was like a top-down isometric point-and-click game. And it was so much fun. I mean,
people will say that's real Fallout. real old people. We're old people. The really old people will say that's real Fallout.
Really old people. It was a blast. I mean, don't get me wrong. Fallout 3 came out, and I'm like, no, this is the way. This is the way here. Like, this is much better. But there's just something like that was really fun back in the day playing Fallout 2. They did like kind of like that point and click RTS kind of feel just really well. I mean, it was during the time when there's so many games like Diablo and all these games were like doing a very similar kind of Warcraft, like those kind of games. A lot of them were point and click and RTS type stuff. So yeah, Fallout 2 is I think on the list. I was just looking up the developers. Black Isle Studios. Interesting.
It's a sick studio name.
Yeah, it is. Did you have another one? You've named 2 so far, right? Yeah,
I do.
Did you have a third one?
Most of them are going to be pretty recent for me. My third is Unpacking.
Oh man, how did I forget about that one? So good.
Unpacking, for those who don't know,
JJ's favorite game of all time.
His favorite game of all time. Don't let him tell you anything different. Unpacking is literally what you do, and the name of the game is what you do in the game. So you are going through the life of a young woman. You're going through different stages of her life and figuring out what's going on, and the story is told through basically what you unpack. So for example, there's one chapter where she's a child, and you can go through and unpack things, and you can get context of what's going on in her life, her relationships, what she's into. And then sometimes in later chapters, some things from the younger chapters will show up, or there'll be updates on those kinds of things. And it's great. It's really well done. It's the best kind of environmental. It's all environmental storytelling. It's awesome. I can't recommend it enough. So these are all bangers so far.
Yeah. Let me see. I think my last one is Papers, Please.
Ooh.
Game is so good. And that was one I actually started on stream earlier this year. I'd never played it before and just heard amazing things. I'd watch Let's Plays, people playing it. I'm like, I gotta try this myself. It can't be that hard, right? Holy cow. Like, it is difficult, but it is so much fun that you play the role of an immigration whatever agent or whatever you call it, like at the border of this fictional country that very closely resembles some of like the Eastern European countries, Russia and in that area. But yeah, all kind of like made up country names and stuff like that. And there's like tensions between countries. There's suicide bombers you got to watch out for trying to get across, assassins. There's also like rebel groups that you can choose to work with or not work with. The whole time you're, there's also a bunch of people who are just normal every day, just Joe Schmoes coming through. And for every person you let through, you make money. You use that money to then decide like, all right, am I going to pay rent today, or am I going to pay to keep my house? I'm going to buy food for my family. You have like a kid and a family you got to keep alive and healthy, buy medicine.
Can you get fired from letting the wrong people in?
I assume so, but I assume that's also game over, because the game is just that. Like, basically at the end of the day, just a menu comes up with where you want to allot your $3 you made, and then that starts right back up, and you're back in the booth, the immigration booth, like stamping passports and stuff like that. And as it goes, it gets more and more complicated with like certain insignias you got to look out for, and date of births, and cities, and or they'll be like, oh, like here's some things to look out for, like if you see anyone with this name or from this country, you got to reject it. So you're approving and rejecting passports and stuff, visas into the country. It sounds like, it kind of sounds like a boring simulator game, but it's not.
Once you get into it and start doing it, that's when it clicks. Yeah, it's
a really interesting story that picks up pretty quickly with a really cool like gameplay mechanics as well. Like it's not just like a basic like stamp. It's like, okay, and the characters are really fun. Like there's this one guy who keeps coming through, and he's not trying to, like, at least as far as I can tell, like sneak his way into the country, but every time he shows up, he just has like the wrong documents. Like I think that when he first shows up, it's just like a piece of paper with a crayon, like my name is, like a picture, and you're like, sorry sir, I can't let you in. And then he comes again, he's like, what about this? And it's like obviously a stolen ID and stuff like that. It's like this old guy who like barely speaks the language and stuff like that. So it's like really funny interacting with this guy. So there's fun character moments like that in there. So
I think I have this game on Vita. I feel like I've had it forever. Maybe I should go ahead and
you should check it out. It's on everything. Like I played it on Steam, so like I wonder if it's playable on Steam Deck. I feel like it'd be tricky, but maybe not. But yeah, it's been around for a while. I think it's pretty much on everything at this point, so it's good.
Okay, right on.
Did you have a fourth one or not?
I do.
I know it's kind of last minute.
I do, and it's one that I told you to play. And that is, of course, Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc.
Yes.
It's a visual novel, which basically the main source of gameplay is point and click. You're looking around different scenes. So what Danganronpa is, and I'm sure we've talked about it a million times, but bear with us again. Danganronpa is a murder mystery game where you are trapped in a school with your schoolmates. And the only way for you to get out is to kill someone and get away with it. I'm not going to say anything else, but basically you can infer that you have to find who the killer is. And that's the other thing. You can only get out by not being found, or you can get out by finding who the killer is. So that's pretty much the game. I'm not going to say anything else.
I think I played through the first couple like kind of sections because it's broken up into like it kind of like it turns into a detective game in a sense, point and click, and so like it's trying to solve a couple like these murders, and it's like, ooh, okay, this is fun, I like this, like it's very, very high stakes as well, like it gets really intense. The characters are great, the music's great.
Also not for youngins. It gets very graphic at times.
Yeah, it's a very graphic game, which is like was so jarring coming from like I don't know. I've never played a visual novel or this style of point and click kind of game at all. And so coming in and being like, oh, it's like this cute little bear and these like interesting little like anime characters, and also it's like people just getting murdered in horrendous ways. It's like, oh my gosh, what the? I was not expecting that.
But it is a great game. There's 3 of them, technically 4, but 3 big ones that you can play. So,
and they're always on sale too. When I bought it, it was all 3 of them for like dirt cheap on Steam. But on my Steam Deck is great.
They're pretty much everywhere, and then they just recently came to Switch too. So, no excuse.
Nice, so good. All right,
and your fourth, sir.
I gave my 4. I gave 2 last time. I said 2064 read-only memory and then Papers, Please. So, so I think that's a good solid 7 games because we shared the 1, so it's not
fair.
Full 8. Sorry about that, but good solid 7 games to get you started for point and click. All right, we have one last question here. It should be from Sir Prince-a-Lot. SGB bot, do you mind reading that off?
Let's do more Avengers recasting. Ant-Man and Vision.
Ant-Man and Vision.
Okay, so if you missed out, was that last week or the 2 weeks ago? We recasted some of the Marvel Avengers. So Prince Lot is back with 2 more. We have, what was it that they said?
Ant-Man and Vision.
Vision.
Ant-Man, to me, honestly, is impossible. I feel like Paul Rudd is so good in that role that I really cannot imagine anybody else in it.
It's hard to picture anyone else doing that. Yeah. The only thing I could possibly come up with after thinking about it a little bit was, and again, like it would have to be like in the old, like it's one of the, it's not Chris Pratt, but it's like how Chris Pratt like used to be the funny guy and now he's turned into the action hero kind of thing. This guy actor's kind of done the same thing where he started out the funny guy and now all of a sudden he's like the action hero, which is unfortunate because he's hilarious, I think. But John Krasinski, I think old John Krasinski from The Office would have been, I don't think as good as Paul Rudd, but it would have been. Granted, now he's what he was in. He was in, what was that movie? He was in Doctor Strange as
Reed Richards.
Reed Richards, Dr. Richards or whatever from Fantastic Four. So it's, I feel like, unfortunately, I don't know if that would work now, unfortunately, like just with the way that, but yeah, well, if you can go back, like if it was old days, John Krasinski, where he's still as goofy, comedy, doing comedy movies, stuff like that, I think that would have been, it would have been pretty good. Not as good as Paul Rudd, but pretty good. I mean, even Chris Pratt back in his heyday too, like that would have been good. Cause even like with Star-Lord, that was right before he went, like it was like during that transition period before he became like a mega star. His mega star, yeah. So yeah, even like before he was Star-Lord, he could have made an okay Ant-Man as well. But again, Paul Rudd's just so perfect for that role. It's so hard. I don't know. Is there anyone else you can think of, or?
Honestly, I am racking my brain.
I mean, I saw online someone mention Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but I just feel like he's not funny. He doesn't have the humor.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt wouldn't be a good.
Like I don't think I've ever watched a movie where he's funny. Maybe they're out there, and I just haven't watched enough of his movies.
He's usually like the quirky guy.
Yeah, he's kind of like a quirky or just a serious guy. Like I don't know. Like when I think of him, the first thing that pops in my mind is just him in Inception. I'm just like, that's not funny. He's cool. Like he's a cool character, but not like funny, quirky, whatever. What about Vision? Do you have anything for Vision? I kind of had an idea for this one as well.
You go first. I'm still noodling on it.
I was inspired recently by, we caught up finally with the last James Bond movie. Because I really like the newer ones. I think they're pretty good. Other than, my webcam just like freaked out for YouTube viewers. I'm in the Matrix.
The Matrix.
Anyways, he is I guess I don't know if this is spoilers or not, but he's the bad guy in the new 007 movie, and I don't know. He just does such a good job with the sort of more, I don't know, serious, intense character like that. So I feel like, because not necessarily that Vision is, Vision's a very serious and intense character, not intense in like a evil, violent way, but just like because he's a computer, he's very like precise and exact, and so it can come across as like, so I don't know. Like I think, because before that, Rami Malek. Previously, I saw him in Bohemian Rhapsody, and I was just like, so that was kind of my view of him. And then when I saw him in 007, I'm like, oh, he's got range. Like he can do it all. This is awesome. So I don't know. That's what I thought of. I was like, maybe a Rami Malek, he'd be pretty good in that role.
He is technically already in the MCU.
Is he?
No. My pick. I was doing my pick.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's in. Oh boy, he's in Doctor Strange, I believe.
Okay.
As one of the villains, I think. I can't even remember his name. But I think Mads Mikkelsen would be a good Vision.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, he in the first Doctor Strange, he's like the main bad guy.
What I thought was Baron Mordo, I think, wasn't that the main guy? And that was
I don't know.
Chiwetel
or Mads Mikkelsen was like the second command or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think he was one of the bad guys in Doctor Strange, but had he not been there, I think he would have been a really good Vision. Because he's really good at like that really stoic kind of acting, like you would need to be, basically an android like Vision. So
another one I thought of was Michael Fassbender, but he's Magneto, and if they're bringing X-Men in, then he could possibly be coming in as well. So
that's true too.
He's already in MCU, kind of not yet, but probably.
It's a for sure thing. X-Men are coming.
Yeah,
come on now.
And then, and the other thing I thought of too, I was like, I just feel like, because Paul Bettany plays Vision currently, I was like, years ago, this was years ago now, but I used to get them confused all the time for whatever reason. Like Paul Bettany and Michael Fassbender, they're very different, but when in conversations, I would always mix them up like they're the same person. So like when I even first thought of Vision, I was picturing Michael Fassbender in my head. I'm like, no, it's not. It's Paul Bettany. But Yeah, I think Michael Fassbender could do a pretty good job. I think he's played a kind of a cyborg before in the Alien Prometheus, right?
Dude, I blocked that movie out of my memory.
Prometheus and Alien Covenant. He was like the weird cyborg dude in that, or android.
Yeah, he was.
Now so he's already played the android role. He's already done it once. Let's throw him an MCU as one. Why not?
I have totally forgotten the plot to that movie.
Okay, I don't think Prometheus was that bad. Not a bad movie. It wasn't great. Yeah, it's not. It's no Alien, that's for sure. But it's not that bad. All right, we should probably move on. Oh, I just typed in. I typed in Magneto into Google because I was trying to think of who else has played Magneto. Ian McKellen, obviously, he's amazing.
Oh yeah,
I didn't realize Christopher Judge must be a voice in X-Men Evolution.
Like the cartoon?
Must be. I don't know. What is X-Men Evolution? I feel like I don't even know. Like
that's like this. That's it's like the X-Men the animated series, but for the younger kids. So like Kitty Pryde.
Yeah, apparently he's
Iceman. And then sometimes they do like the main cast is younger kids in high school. So like Jean Grey's there, Nightcrawler's there.
Okay. Yeah, apparently he's Magneto in that. The voice of Kratos, also Magneto. It's awesome.
Christopher Judge would be an awesome Apocalypse, by the way. I don't know why they chose Oscar Isaac to do Apocalypse in that god-awful X-Men movie. But if they wanted to do an accurate Apocalypse, he has the voice for it. He has the build for it. He would have been perfect.
Heck yeah. I don't think I even watched the last like 2 or 3 X-Men movies. I watched up until
I saw Apocalypse for free, and then I'm like, I'm not even going. Even if you paid for me, I'm not going to see that. What was it, like Dark Phoenix or something like that?
Whatever.
Absolutely not.
So bad. All right. Well, that is it for our mailbag segment. I believe. Let me check my notes. Yeah. You know what? It's that time of the show. It's time for the nerdy nudes.
It's now time for the nerdy nudes.
Wonderful. All right. And this week, our first news story, or should I just say topic of the show? We'll see how long. This might take up a lot of the show, honestly, but we'll see. Review roundup here for Starfield. That's right. Starfield is now officially out. Reviewers have been playing it for a few weeks now. I've been working on it for came out about a week ago, a couple days ago. So yeah, I just pulled the review roundup here so we can read off some of the, the big reviewers, what their thoughts are, but we're going to give our first impressions as well. If you haven't heard them yet, that is because we actually guested on Video Games a Comedy Show, VGACS. Look up that podcast. You can hear our thoughts over there alongside Jeremy and Mikey. That was fun to join them over there. But so if you haven't listened to that yet, then you can stay tuned here in just a minute. But Darren Bonthus over there kind of brought together some of the major reviewers. September 6th was when it released. September 1st was early access by Bethesda Game Studios. Starfield came out to Xbox Series X, S, and PC for $70 or free with Game Pass.
GameSpot, or $100 if you want to play it early.
Yeah, imagine. GameSpot gave it a 7 out of 10. When you strip Starfield down to its essentials, it relies on a tried and true but well-tread formula while missing some of the depth of the games that came before it. Starfield is a game more concerned with quantity than quality and leaves the experience at the surface level. VGC gave it a 5 out of 5. Starfield is undoubtedly an experience that players will stick with for years to come. Its content rich in a way that's rare in modern gaming, exactly the experience that people who've been hoovering up different versions of Skyrim for years have wanted. It doesn't truly reinvent the wheel with its mechanics, but almost everything it does so well that it's truly engrossing experience. Game Informer gave it an 8.5 out of 10. It took me a long time to fall in love with Starfield, and even after I did, certain aspects didn't work for me. But the things I didn't enjoy are vastly outweighed by my enthusiasm for this new, original science fiction universe, the breadth of its adventures, and the appeal of its many interwoven stories. go in with the expectation that it will take some time to find your footing in such a vast gameplay space, and there's a universe well worth discovering there. IGN gave it a 7 out of 10. Starfield has a lot of forces working against it, but eventually the allure of its expansive role-playing quest and respectable combat make its gravitational pull difficult to resist. PC Gamer gave it a 75 out of 100. Games Radar with a 5 out of 5. PC Games N gave it a 7 out of 10. So as you can see, the average is about an 8. 8.5. Because it's either a 10 out of 10 or like a 7. So it's like I feel like the middle is right around the 8 or 8.5. Right.
I'd like to point out that I accurately guessed the Metacritic. By the way, I said it was going to be 87, and it ended up being 87 on
that was wild. That was wild when you tweeted that out, because I saw that like the day before. You're like, it's going to be this, and then it came out. You're like, boom, retweet. Here it is. Here's the proof. I did it. That was crazy. So first and foremost, here's a formal statement coming from the top here at SGB Studios. We told you so. We told you so. We never wanted this game to be bad, and we didn't think it was gonna be bad.
And it is not bad.
And it's not bad. Spoilers for our first impressions about to happen in about 1 minute. It's not a bad game, but it's not a 10 out of 10 like everyone tried to tell us, even in the comments.
Bethesda tried to tell us.
Bethesda tried to tell us, and like all the haters in the YouTube comments tried to tell us. There's one comment in particular that, because I think in that one in the conference, you said, you're like, oh, it'll probably be like an 8 out of 10. And someone was commenting, was like, 8 out of 10? That's wild. You guys are crazy.
I need to go find that one and say, hey, bud, how you doing?
I almost want to go back and comment and be like, hey, so about that.
Sounds like you owe us a sub, man.
Yeah, so the Starfield, we told you so. And again, that's not to say this game is bad, but yeah, here's our impression. So Adrian, I don't know if you want to kick us off here. What are your thoughts on Starfield? You've been playing it for a little over a week now.
Okay, so I've got about 13 hours, I believe, 12 to 13 hours in. I just want to say, like I've said before, because apparently the video seems to mute itself when we say this, because people claim they don't hear it when we say this, okay? The game is good.
Yeah.
Okay? It is a good game. No one is saying that it's not a good game, okay?
And to be clear, a 7 out of 10 is good. Like,
it's good.
This has more. There's a much bigger discussion around this, but back in the day, 7 out of 10 was a good score. People would be like, oh, that's a good game. Nowadays, if it's not an 8 or higher, it's 8 or higher. It's a good.
Wait for a sale. Wait for a sale.
Yeah. If it's below, it's trash. And it's like, no, like there's 7 other points below, below an 8 that that are still decent. There's like 3 other points. So, I don't know. Today's review scales are just so jacked up. But anyways, continue.
Well, it's not the review scales. It's the
reviewers.
It's the public's perception of reviews has changed, and that's and you know what? Not even that. It's the weirdo console warriors that are like the ones that are so worried about. Oh, if it's a 8 out of 10, that means it's a failure. It's a flop. We can make fun of the other side about this. It's like, no. That's what they care about. They don't care about if it's good or not. They care about, oh, did it score an 8 or lower? Then we can get them with this in our weirdo console war. So having said that, I think that the 7 out of 10 reviews are right in line. I think that they were much nicer than in the way they conveyed my sentiment. Is like, dude, this game is rough in the beginning. It is a chore to play, and that is one of the biggest sins that a game can commit. I have definitely played my fair share of Bethesda games. I know how a Bethesda game goes. I know the ins and outs. This is, for all intents and purposes, a 100% Bethesda game, but this is probably the slowest I think one has taken to get going. Yeah.
Yeah, this is like the most Bethesda game. Like,
right.
And I think that's, for me, like such a a gripe of mine. So like it's that they innovated in so many areas technologically, but didn't bother to innovate in their in the gameplay style. Like I don't know what it's hard to explain it specifically without playing it, but like when you play Skyrim, when you play Fallout, like any of these Bethesda games from years past, you play it and you're like, this is a Bethesda game, and you feel it and you know it, and there's like certain things that just, it feels a certain way, it plays a different way, a certain way, there's like certain menu mechanics that they use and inventory and all this stuff, and it's just the same every game. And so like, because again, I know people are going to come and be like, they did so much innovation into this, and I get it.
We get it. They did. You can tell from the start that they did.
You can tell like, the way like gravity is different on each planet. That's really cool. You look up in the sky and you see other planets and galaxies, like, wow, like the skybox in this game is beautiful. It's like, it's amazing. You go into space, but as far as like the game, the actual hands-on gameplay, I'm like, when I picked it up, I was like, oh, this is Fallout.
Yeah.
With a space skin. Like they didn't bother to upgrade. It's like the same old the same old skeleton with this is different set dressing, I think is what I texted you, Adrian. I was like, same old skeleton, same base bones there, different set dressing. They just like blanketed over Skyrim. And it, for me, is just like, again, and not that that's bad, because I love Fallout, but when this is their first new IP in 25 years, I guess I was excited for what is the new Bethesda? What are they going to bring us? Next gen consoles, new IP. It's made exclusively for Xbox, so they're gonna have all this money and time to work on this, and expertise and whatever, the list goes on. And then for them to just bring us same old Bethesda with some added glitz and glamour, but it's still just a Bethesda game. And I will say, the least buggy game I've ever played from Bethesda. Holy smokes! By a mile. Like, I actually have not come across any bugs, and I've only seen very few online. I feel like, other than like the weird like people looking at you funny bugs, like you see those online all over the place now. But that I feel like that's just a Bethesda feature at this point. That's every game where the people stare at you like wide-eyed, all crazy.
But that's also another thing, right? Like, I think what we're trying to get at is there have been so many quality of life improvements just across the board, standard in games, just the way that games are made, the way that animations are now, with the way acting is, that the fact that Bethesda hasn't incorporated any of that is really like the biggest disappointment with the game, right? Like, inventory management, it feels exactly like,
it's horrible.
It feels exactly like the old games. Like, they haven't taken note. Like, it's okay to to take notes and, hey, this is the standard, this is how we do this now. Going through and setting stuff as your favorites, or equipping gear and things of that nature. It's so many like little steps. It hasn't been simplified at all. It feels like, in my opinion,
even just to save the game, it used to just be you hit start and hit save. They've actually
now you got to go start again, save, and then B again to get back to the game.
It's a menu within a menu that you can't just quick enter and quick exit. So I'm like, even that, I'm like, what a wild choice to like make it harder to save your game. Like, that's weird. And granted, you're like, oh, so what? It's like half a second. It's like, yeah, well, that adds up over time. Like, and it's not always half a second. I've had times where I hit the start button and like it doesn't respond right away for some reason. I'm like, okay, that was weird. I hit it again and then it pops up. So it's like, all right, there's 5 seconds I wasted sitting there. So I don't. So it's just like weird. Like, what was the thought process? Because that was something they had that was good before that they've actually made worse. And that's nitpicky. Maybe you're gonna be like, well, okay, what about down to gameplay stuff? Like, what kind of
gameplay wise, the shooting is the best the combat is the best it's ever been in a Bethesda game by a country mile. Shooting is so much better. Yeah. I honestly, while it would be nice and nostalgic to have a VAT system back, I really don't think that we need one.
I so many times instinctively kept hitting L1, and it just brings up the scanner, and I'm like, God, dang it! Like,
they could have done a VATS, and they could have instead of Vault, they could have called it Vasco assisted.
Oh yeah, because of the robot. I get it. Yeah, that would have been awesome. Good, but yeah, I so many times I'm like, especially because I initially started playing it on my Steam Deck with Game Pass, the game streaming, and so I was like, ooh, it's a little. I didn't have great internet, and so I was kind of like a little frustrated with it. So I'm like, I just need VATS. Like that would be really handy right now. But then once I got onto my own computer, I'm like, oh no, it's still like it's no FPS, but it's much better. Like once you're on a capable system, not streaming it over the internet. I'm like, okay, yep, no, they've definitely improved here. That was good.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just it's some of it is little things, and then a lot of it is like, really, we didn't want to push this as all. And then my big thing with that is, I think the interactions with characters is woof.
Yeah,
it's standard fare where when you're going up to a person, like you were just making the comment about, where they're just locked on,
the Bethesda jump scare
at you. Yeah. I've had people like, they would be doing something over here and I'm still having a conversation with them, and they're talking to me, but they're looking this way because something is going on in the building. And I'm like, are we serious right now? Like, Gorilla, and they may not have the most exciting NPCs, but at least they make them give the illusion that the person is there having a conversation with you, right? They move their head. They
very human feeling.
Right. They change camera angles. They include body language, and I'm talking about more than just the occasional arm raise or something like this. Like they even spend a little time just mocapping a couple different things. Yeah, they might reuse them, but hey, it's better than what we got where it's just mainly the NPC standing there looking at you.
It's like a close up, like, yeah, the camera zooms in on their face and it's just a typical like straight shoulders, straight arms, like dead eyes into the camera. It's like, geez,
nobody has every conversation. Like, why don't we walk and talk with anybody? You know what I mean? Like, it's just that's what I'm saying. Like, things have evolved as far as like
gaming's changed in the last 25 years, Bethesda.
Yes. The performances are not bad. The performances are good. Yeah. It's just the way that they are displayed with the character models is just, it's so behind the times, I feel like.
Yeah. So I think that's definitely like our main gripe. I think if you really boil it down, it's just the fact that like there's all this hype about all this innovation, and then to actually play the game and realize like the innovation was in all the wrong places. Mm-hmm. Like it innovated a lot of cool technical things, but the main meat and potatoes gameplay didn't really get an upgrade, which is unfortunate because like that's what I care about, all the glitz, all the fancy things, all the sprinkles on top are nice, but it's like, all right,
the thousand planets.
If the ice cream tastes like crap, it still tastes like crap, and even talking about space travel now. Again, and I've heard, we talked on Video Games, a Comedy Show. Mikey was like, keep playing. Apparently it gets better, but in my experience so far, I have not liked space combat. It does not feel good. I've heard with better ships, it starts feeling better. I'm like, okay, you know what? So that's my next goal. Like as soon as I finish the mission I'm currently on, I'm like, I'm going to go and get a new ship because I want to know. I need to know. Does it actually get better? Or is he just convincing himself of that because he bought an Xbox for Starfield?
I mean, I did too.
Yeah, you did too. You bought an Xbox. That's true. You bought an Xbox just for Starfield, and then here we are. But yeah, so space combat doesn't feel good. And then just the traversals through space, the fact that everything is a loading screen and a fast travel. I'm glad it's in there, but I just wish I had the choice to also just fly around. Like, all right, because I think I told Jeremy this. I was like, after about 5 times of traveling on and off planet, I'm sure I'd get sick and tired of it. Depending on how long it took. If it was like a long process, like, all right, I'm just going to fast travel. But at least give me the option. So then like once every 10th time, if I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I want to freaking take off. And
let me take. You want me to be the player? Let me take off. Let me go here. Let me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's like, it's when you jump in the cockpit, you hit the button and it's a cutscene that shows you taking off and zooming into space, and then all of a sudden there's a loading screen, flashes the loading screen, which there's a surprisingly large amount of loading screens in this game for a 2023 game on SSD hard drive. But that's another thing we can talk about. Yeah, and then you're in space, and then to go to another planet, again, you don't just fly there. You can, but that Alana Pierce did a test on her YouTube or Twitch channel. She streamed it where she flew to Pluto. It took her 7 hours, which Pluto's a long way away. So even if the planet is 2 minutes away.
I don't need to fly for 7 hours, dude. Give me the illusion that it's a long way.
But you fly through like that. Well, I guess what happens is when you fly it towards the planet, like it just disappears.
It's a JPEG.
It's just a JPEG. It's just like an image. In order to land there, you have to still have to bring up the quick travel menu, choose a spot to land, and then again, it's a cutscene, and all of a sudden, like you don't even see the landing happen. You're just kind of like there, right? All right. I haven't done it enough to even remember, but I think there's a little landing cutscene. But again, everything's a cutscene, everything's a loading screen or a menu, and it's like, oh, the whole.
I know people are going to be like, oh, they just want it to be No Man's Sky. Not necessarily, dude. I didn't ask for it. I wanted it to be its own thing, but I feel like if you want me to get engrossed in the experience, you should have had, like Garrett said, you should have had both options.
Give me the
option. Let me play it like that if I want to, or let me fast travel if I want to.
And don't tell us in the marketing that this is going to be the most expansive space. Like they like talk this big talk about all this expansive and crazy and in-depth space travel, and then it's 99% of it's in menus. It's like, what is this? I don't understand. Like this isn't. I don't know. Like again, I'm obviously going to use fast travel more than anything else, but again, give me the option. Like
that's all I want.
Don't talk the big talk if that's not what you're actually going to provide. Because my thought was going to be like, oh, okay, they're going to give us the option to do the No Man's Sky thing, and then they didn't even do that. I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
It's honestly, it's immersion breaking for me. Like I feel like I start to get into it when I'm in the world and I'm doing quests and I'm doing that, and then they go, well, we got to go to another planet, and then I get to the ship, and then the game loads that cutscene and lets me know, hey, you're not actually in control of this. We're just we're taking you off. You know, we're doing this for you. It's like, well. Now I don't really feel like I'm going to space. I feel like I'm being taken there, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's just a bummer because even though we were like cautiously optimistic before, we had our criticisms, but like we were, like I said, optimistic. We still like were really excited about this game. This is the next big game out of Bethesda, next big game out of Xbox. Had like was really excited for what it could be. And then for it to be just more of the same is, just a bummer. And again, not to say it's a bad game.
No, not at all.
Because that's the thing, like playing it, I'm like, oh, like I'm having.
I can boil it down.
Yeah.
When we say that this is standard Bethesda, that's what I wanted, right? But I wanted 2023's. I wanted Bethesda with 20 years of experience and looking at the industry and tweaking and upgrading. I wanted the 2023 of Bethesda. So I wanted them to take that same formula, push it forward with their style, but use the conveniences and the innovations that we've had in games since then to today. Right. That's the baseline for what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, it's like it's a good game that could have been so much better if they just took some of those modern sensibilities and implemented those. But here we are with just a good game that I'm fine with putting on the back burner because it's not great. It's good, but not great. And so I agree with, all those 7 out of 10s. I'm like, yeah, that feels about right. Cause it's like a game eventually I'll get to and I'll play through it and I'll have fun. But right now it's like, I have Armored Core 6, which is like my favorite game. Baldur's Gate 3 also like these two huge games that are like competing in my brain right now because Baldur's Gate 3 has been incredible. Armored Core 6 has been freaking amazing.
We got Mario next month. Pokemon DLC is coming out this week.
So many good
Mortal
games
Kombat is coming out next week
that are great games, and it's like I don't have time for just this good game right now. And it's one of those like, well, in a little bit I'll get back to it. So
I fully intend to play it to completion at some point. I want to make that clear. But like I said, it's so much. I got Sea of Stars out right now.
Yeah.
I got Bomb Rush Cyberpunk I'm trying to play through. So my plate's pretty full, and I know I like those games a lot.
Yeah. And the other thing too with Starfield is like, I think you mentioned before the show, like in 6 months or whatever, a year, like this game, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of tweaks and changes, just like most modern games nowadays. Like they might fix a lot of these quality of life things. And something that I'm looking forward to is
the
Bethesda.
Mods, baby.
Well, the mods, but then also like Fallout. I love the DLC. Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4. Like all of them had incredible DLC packs that you could buy, like add-on missions and stuff. And so I am stoked for like, okay, Bethesda, like what's your DLC going to be for this game? Because I always loved the DLC from the Fallout games. So I really hope we see like some cool like spin-off missions and stuff as well that are like themed on different areas and stuff. And
I'm sure we will.
So like I'm excited for this game in about a year when all the quality of life changes have been fixed, any bugs have been worked out, and then there's maybe like 1 or 2 DLC packs already where it's like, all right, I can dive in and get some cool whatever armor from some crazy planet it's added or something. But
and then on top of that, whatever they don't fix, there'll be a mod for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Give the modders 6 months. I mean, it didn't take long.
There's already mods today.
Yeah, there's an article from IGN 16 hours ago where Starfield modders are turning Bethesda's space RPG into a Star Wars game. There's already like Stormtrooper models and they're working on putting like the Millennium Falcon and stuff like that in. So like they're turning it into a Star Wars game. I'm like, I'm in. I'll play this game with Star Wars.
It's gonna be rad. Oh,
so good.
But yes, at the end of the day, because I know people are gonna just zoom through this and find the stuff that they disagree with. Again, to end it all off, Starfield is not a bad game. It is not a bad game by any means. It is a good game. We think it is a good game. We don't think it's a great game. It could be a great game in time, but as of right now, it is not a great game. It is a good game. Okay? All right?
Yep. Everyone
Weirdo
understands.
Fanboys, are we all on the same page here?
Are we all
want to
cool?
make sure.
Can we be cool? Everyone be cool.
All right.
Cool. Well, with that, I guess we can move on with our next news story.
Let's do it.
The next news story is coming from Alex. Nope, that's who did the illustration. Emma Roth. That's who it is. Emma Roth over at The Verge. Sony is raising PlayStation Plus prices up to $40 per year. Sony is raising the price of its PlayStation Plus subscription next month. The service's annual essential plan will go from $60 to $80, the extra plan $100 to $135, and the premium plan from $120 to $160. The new pricing goes into effect starting September 6th. And if you're currently subscribed to PlayStation Plus, Sony says the price increase won't take effect until your next renewal date or after November 6th. However, if you make any changes to your subscription, such as upgrades, downgrades, or buying additional time, you'll have to pay the new rate. Sony says the price hikes will go into effect globally and will allow the company to continue bringing high-quality games and value-added benefits to the service.
Like Saints Row.
It adds that the yearly plans will still come at a discounted rate as opposed to the 1 or 3 month subscriptions that it offers. Launched last year, PlayStation Plus is Sony's answer to Xbox Game Pass, which allows you to play a rotating selection of games each month. For the month of September, PlayStation Plus will include Saints Row, Black Desert, Traveler Edition, and Generation Zero. I've only heard of one of those, and it was, got like a 5 out of 10?
It was rough.
Yeah. So I don't know what they're doing over there, because granted, they do have a decent sized library. Like, I'm not saying the current lineup that's there isn't good, but the new things they're adding aren't good. So like, there's a lot of incredible games on PlayStation Plus. Like, if you go on there, like, I'm always surprised, actually. I'll go on there and just randomly like look something up. I'm like, oh, no way. Like, I almost bought that game, but it's here. I can just play for free because I have the subscription. They have an incredible library over there. It's available anytime to download or stream. Great. Awesome. But for the past year, or at least the past 6 months, I don't know, I'm not paying attention all the time, but about out of the 6 months of the last year, the games I've noticed that they've added, like whenever I see a tweet or an Instagram post or whatever, I'm like, what is this? Like, what are they doing? Like, this game, like, what the heck? Like, more often than not, it's just such a miss. And it was already so expensive, $120 a year.
Crazy.
And now it's going up to $160, was it? For the top dog tier, which is what I have, because I wanted to be able to have access to all. That's the only way to get access to the retro games like PS1 and PS3
But that's
games.
the other thing is they haven't even updated that in the longest time.
Yeah, no, it's still pretty much the same library on their classic games as well. So yeah, it's super duper weird over there. Not sure. Hang on. We just got rated by Steph Babies Party of 12. What's up, everybody? Welcome
what's going on, everybody?
We are mid news story here. Sorry, I didn't acknowledge you right away, but thank you so much, Steph, for the raid. We very much appreciate it.
I was doing a tally of like how much I actually use PlayStation Plus, like in all the back catalog games. Like I use my it's my Blockbuster machine, right? So I play all the big tentpole PlayStation exclusives on there. And when I first got the PlayStation, they had that real big sale, like it was the winter time, where everything was super deep discount. So I basically have most, if not all, of the big giant tentpole PlayStation games. So for me, it's kind of like, I don't know why I have the big premium. I got it to like, I just got a new PlayStation. I want to see what all it can offer. I haven't really played any of the retro games because I still actually have them. So it doesn't make sense for me to go and download them, on PS5 when I have the disc or the card or whatever still. And I barely played anything online last year, as far as online multiplayer that didn't require a subscription. I played Fortnite more than anything. You don't need a PlayStation subscription for that.
No.
So for me to ask for me to go up another $40 is kind of crazy. Wow. Honestly. And
so
I don't think I could do it. I'm honestly thinking, do I even need the bottom tier at this point?
Yeah, I might downgrade mine. I mean, I just need to look at the tiers and see what's offered, but the pickle that I'm in is, you're right. Like, I don't necessarily use a lot of the features, but I also feel like I'm in so deep with, I don't know, 10 years worth of free games that as soon as I cancel my PlayStation Plus subscription, I can't access all of a sudden. I have
keep it real, Garrett.
I have like
the last
400 games.
Games?
I have like 300 to 400 games in my game library that are locked as soon as I cancel my PlayStation Plus subscription. Granted, I can always.
That's how they got you, though. They got you by ads like that.
Yeah, and if I ever want to play one, I just pay for a month again. I can play it, but that it's that thing though that like, but I could, if I keep paying for it, then it's just always available. I don't have to worry about it. Like, so it's like, but
that's what I'm saying. When is the last time you played any of those old games?
I touch my place.
You redeem them and then they sit there.
I touch my PlayStation 5 at this point only like once or twice a year anyways. Like, I can't even remember the last game I played on my PS5, honestly. What PS5 games came out in 2023?
Ooh, good question.
Because I don't even know if I've played my PS5 at all.
PS5 Final Fantasy, but that's not technically a PlayStation 5 game. It's a game that's exclusive to PlayStation 5. But especially now that we know it's getting a PC port.
Yeah. I'm talking about like this year specifically though. Like, I don't even know if I've turned on my PS5 game for like anything. I can't even think of like the last game I played.
I thought you were just asking what came out on PS5 this year.
Yeah, well, Final Fantasy didn't come out, did it?
Yeah, it did. Final Fantasy 16.
Okay, yeah. So, there you go. I played the demo. On my PS. That's the only time I've touched my PS5 this year that I can think of, which is wild. Because you're right. I pay for this service and I'm like not even using it. But yeah, I don't know. I just wish they'd give us more. Like, if you're gonna keep charging more, like, give us something good. Like, all right, bring the Metal Gear Solid collection there. The new like Masterpiece collection or whatever that's coming out at the end of this month. Like, bring that there. That would be awesome. Bring Metal Gear.
But you could
home.
get that anywhere.
No, I can get it anywhere. But if I could get it for free as well, that'd be
I'm sorry.
Free.
Forspoken also came out this year. The blockbuster smash hit Forspoken.
Right. I forgot about that one.
Stellar Blade was supposed to come out, got delayed. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is not coming out this year. It's coming out winter, so basically next year. The only thing they got riding right now is Spider-Man 2.
That's crazy. Yeah, so PlayStation, my PS5 has been just sitting collecting a whole lot of dust, unfortunately. And so, yeah, like I might be downgrading, but then, like, again, I go back and forth because then in my head I'm like, well, if you think about price wise, that's only like 2.5 games. Like, right?
Why don't you do this? Because you still would get access. Just go down to the lowest one. It's only, well, now it used to be $60, but now it's 80.
I think with the top 60, the top dog tier, you do get the streaming though, which I have used a couple times. I don't use it a ton, but I have used a couple times, like when I'm traveling. So that's, I think, the main reason why I've always kept the top dog tiers for the classics, which they haven't upgraded in a while, and for the streaming.
$80 though, Garrett, for you to use cloud gaming a couple times a year. $80?
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. It's pretty stupid, huh? I should probably downgrade, huh? What's the lowest one again? $80.
80.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. You be paying an extra $80 just to do cloud streaming 2 or 3 times a year.
And to keep my library that I have, and to keep my library.
But you can do that with the $80 one.
All right, that's what I'm saying though. Like keep it, drop it to 80. Yeah, maybe I'll be doing that after the episode here. We'll see.
I don't know. I don't think this is warranted. This is clearly Sony just trying to squeeze people as much as they can for as much money as they can, because they know the majority of people they'll pay it. They'll cry, but they'll pay it. I think this is just another sign of that hubris coming back as usual with Sony.
So sad. Why do they have to do that? Like they did it in PS3 era, got their butt kicked, came back in PS4. Now here they are, PS5 area. They're doing this again. Are they about to
maybe it's like
kicked?
Some hidden sitcom that I don't know, that Jim Ryan and Phil Spencer are writing together, and it's like, okay, in this arc you guys give us the chance to come back and we'll be even better than you, and then you'll have to come back with PS6 and make it even. I don't know. That's the only thing that makes sense. The
problem because what happened in PS3 era is not only did they have the hubris, but 360 was actually amazing.
Yes.
The problem with PS5 era here is they have the hubris, but Xbox just keeps tripping and falling the whole time. So it's like
that's their saving grace.
So it's almost like the bad guy keeps winning with PlayStation being on top, because it's like PlayStation keeps making anti-consumer moves, and Xbox isn't slapping back with like anything worthwhile. So it's like this, like, oh no, the villain might win this one.
I 100% believe that if all the Xbox exclusives that have come out this generation, if they were all bangers, Sony would be in serious trouble. Serious trouble.
100%.
Could you imagine if they had like nothing but 9s and 10s for and all you have this year is Spider-Man?
And Final Fantasy 16.
Final Fantasy 16 it's exclusive for now. But
yeah, for now.
It was never intended to be a made for PS5 game. It just came out on PS5 first.
Crazy. All right. Well, we're getting along here, but let's do the last news story real quick here, because it's worth touch on at least. Zelda producer says there are no plans for Tears of the Kingdom DLC. Jordan Middler over at Video Games Chronicle writes, speaking to Famitsu, Aonuma said there are no plans to release additional content for the game this time because he feels that the team did everything it could in terms of gameplay opportunities. At this time, we are not planning to release additional content, Aonuma said, translated by VGC contributor Robert Sefazan. We feel like we already fully explored and exhausted the gameplay possibilities in this world. Initially, the reason we decided to develop a sequel was because we believed there is still a value in experiencing new gameplay within that particular Hyrule. If in the future we find a compelling reason, we may revisit the world once again, whether it's another sequel or an entirely new title. I believe the game will offer a completely new experience, and I hope you'll look forward to it. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom takes place in a largely remixed version of the Hyrule overworld from the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild received 2 major pieces of DLC, the Master Trials, which added new gameplay modes, and the Champion's Ballad, which added new story content and a motorbike. Tears of the Kingdom was originally conceived as DLC for Breath of the Wild until too many new ideas were gathered and it was decided to make an entirely separate sequel instead. Crazy that sold 10 million copies worldwide in its first 3 days. Wild.
No joke.
Yeah, so I don't know. We kind of talked about this a little bit before the show, but
good.
Yeah,
good.
This is fine.
Please, no more.
Breath of the Wild was massive to the point where I barely even touched the DLC. And this game is just as big. Like, that's fine. I can spend hundreds of hours in this game and still probably not see everything.
I did that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because you went through Tears of the Kingdom, like,
yeah,
and beat everything.
Took me 150 hours, and I felt like I was meandering. I maybe did 40% of the game before I went and did the final quest. Like this game, the 100% it, dude. You're looking 200 hours, 220 minimum, and then you want to put DLC on top of that? Absolutely not, brother. I'm good.
No.
I'm good.
No. Yeah,
I think more than enough. And Breath of the Wild is just as big.
Yeah. I don't think it wasn't even warranted for Breath of the Wild. Like, it was fun to have, but it's like it wasn't anything anyone was clamoring for, especially since it was kind of unprecedented. Like, they hadn't really, previous Zelda games didn't have DLC, right?
No, not that I can think of.
So like Breath of the Wild is kind of a first for it to have DLC anyways, and then for them to realize like, oh yeah, no, this is, maybe let's go back to like, no, dude, like our games are big enough. I think we're good. Like, right. There's enough content there, in quality gameplay. You know, we don't need to just, you know, they're very much quality over quantity over there, which I appreciate. You know, maybe some people over at Bethesda need to take some notes. But yeah, I don't know. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say on that. Good, very good. I haven't even beat Tears of the Kingdom, and I have about 10 other amazing games from this year that I have not beaten yet either. So slow it up.
Fantastic problem to have, dude. Have you touched RE4 yet? I haven't even played RE4. I have to go back to that. I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan. Haven't touched Final Fantasy 16 outside of the demo. You know why? Because there's 58 other games that came out that I've been wanting to play real bad.
Yeah, RE4 I've been wanting to play and just haven't had a chance to pick it up because I've been so busy with other games. Final Fantasy 16, I love the demo. I was surprised, actually. I was like, whoa, okay, I need to play this. But I'm like, I'm not an idiot. Like, I have too many other games. I started replaying Cyberpunk, which isn't from this year, but with all the
get DLC for that,
Phantom Liberty, and they're doing the new 2.0 update where they're revamping the original game. I'm like, shoot, what am I doing?
Oh my god!
Why do I play video games? What a terrible.
We got Mario
hobby.
Wonder coming later. We got Mario RPG coming.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
2023 might be the best year in gaming.
I think it is.
It's at least it's up there. It's up there. It's pretty great, honestly. All right, let's move on here then to what's next. What do we normally do after this? Oh yeah, it's time for our Patreon ad.
Time to chill.
All right, this is the part of the show where I tell you to go over to patreon.com/supergamerboys and support us over there starting at just $1 a month. That's right, $1. You get episodes early and ad-free, such as this show, and you get exclusive access to Super Later Boys, which, again, as I announced at the beginning of the show, sorry to all those who do support us over on Patreon. I apologize that the August episode still has not come out for Super Later Boys. We had plans to record it before I went on a trip to Seattle. It did not happen. And so now we're just trying to figure that out. I just got back a couple days ago. So you will get an August episode and you're still going to get a September episode. So don't worry. We will make it up. But yeah, just having some issues with scheduling there. But you'll get access to, it's Patreon exclusive, only available there. Super Later Boys. There's a couple episodes up already right now that you can check out if you go support us there. $5 a month, and you can also get show notes to the show. You'll be able to see exactly what we're going to be talking about each and every Monday night. So if you have your own thoughts or questions or concerns about a news story, about one of the listener questions, or just want to mention what you're playing, leave it right on the dock, and I'll read it right here on the show live. Share it with the world. So think about supporting us over there. $10 a month. You can get shout outs on the show as a Super Gamer sponsor, just like the other fine folks at the top of the show there. And then Super Gamer sponsor, you can get all the previous perks, and you can pitch a segment idea. We've had some fun segments throughout the years. We're always looking forward to just seeing what those producers come up with. It's always fun, some of the random ideas they come up with, and fantastic content we've made from it. So think about supporting us over there if you love what we do, want to help us keep making cool, bigger, better things. And also, if you're over on Twitch, if you're watching us here live at twitch.tv/thesupergamerboys, we would love it if you would support us. If you have an Amazon account, you can link that to your Twitch account. Use your Prime Gaming subscription. It's free each and every month. we'd love if you threw it our way. It costs you $0 and we get $5. So again, if you appreciate what we do, we'd very much appreciate that. You get access to a few of our emotes there. My favorite is the Adrian hype face or the Garrett pain face. A couple of good ones that you can use all across Twitch. So think about throwing that sub our way. We'd very much appreciate it. Or if you can't do that, give us a follow over here on Twitch or YouTube. We stream on YouTube as well now. I think that's it. So let's get back to the show before the show goes on way too long. All right, we're back. And Adrian, it's that time of the show where I'm supposed to ask you, what you playing?
All
and
right.
It can't be Starfield. Anything else. No more Starfield
deal.
talk.
I got
We're
it.
done.
Don't worry about it. Check
Never
it out.
again. It's not allowed on the show.
Don't do that because then they're gonna think we're being
Oh.
serious. As you kind of mentioned before, I have been playing 2 other games right now. First one is Sea of Stars. It's the new RPG that just came out, the big deal or big RPG on campus. It is an homage to pretty much insert RPG here. It has elements of every major RPG. It has influences all in there, but it's one of the few that doesn't feel like it's just solely there to be an homage to it. It feels like it's taken those things and it's learned from them and made its own title.
Okay. Cool.
So far, I have been having a blast with it. I love everything about it. I can definitely see this game being in my top 10 game of the year for sure.
Wow.
It's very, very good. I am not terribly far in, maybe about 8 to 10 hours in. I don't want to say what's going on because I don't want to do any spoilers. But the writing is very good. It's a beautifully done game. It's awesome sprite work, and the battle system is actually, I don't want to say innovative because people are going to say, well, they took this from that, they took this from that, but they made it feel cohesive. So
Okay.
yeah, definitely check it out. There's a demo pretty much anywhere that they have it. It's also on Game Pass. It's on PS Plus too, so you can pretty much get it for free. Just download it over there. I'm playing it on Switch because I wanted to see it on OLED, of course, when I take it with me. And yeah, that is it for that. And the other one that I'm also equally over the moon about is Bomb Rush Cyberpunk from Team Reptile. It is the spiritual successor to the Jet Set Radio franchise. They basically said, if Sega ain't gonna do it, we're gonna do it ourselves. And that's what they did. They essentially made Jet Set Radio 3. And it is that in all the best ways. They've updated, modernized the gameplay. It feels great. It plays great. It looks great. It feels like it could have been on a Dreamcast. The way that the art style is and the way that the characters are modeled and everything in the stages, it feels like it stepped right out of that era in the best way.
That's awesome.
And the soundtrack is full of absolute bangers. It is as good as the original Jet Set and Jet Set Future soundtracks, start to finish.
Wow.
Dude. I saw a TikTok that was like me every 15 minutes because a banger from the Bomb Rush Cyberpunk soundtrack came on, and like they have the switch over in the corner and they're just breaking it down. It's like, yeah, I get it. It's that good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So those two have been awesome. I am so glad that they both came out and that they hit the mark and that they're good. Other than that, not really too much outside of the game that shall not be named because you said we can't talk about it. So
Not allowed. No more. Never again. We've talked about it. We've set our case. That's it. We're done.
yeah. But I am interested to hear what you've been up to.
Oh, you know what? I've been playing
The Game of Life?
the game of life. No, I mean, I had a few flights the last couple weeks. Flew up to Seattle, flew back down, and let me tell you, Armored Core 6 runs so incredibly well on the Steam Deck. Let me tell you, I am falling head over heels for this game. I just can't get enough of it. Give me more Armored Core 6. I just can't stop playing it. yeah, like I said, it runs fantastic. I'm not getting like a solid 60 or anything, but it holds its own. And with a power pack plugged into my Steam Deck, like my battery life was up to like 6 hours or something like that. I'm like, heck yeah. So granted, I only had like 3 hours of flights or whatever. It's, you know what, a couple hours up, you know, skipping a jump up there. Yeah, I just can't get enough of this. The gameplay is so good, so smooth. It looks great on the Steam Deck, and the story is getting so good. I think last time I talked about it, because I did talk about it before we went on the trip. It was heading in a direction. I was just like, oh, I wonder what they're going to do about this certain faction. I think I mentioned, because there's like all these corporations you're doing all these jobs for, and you kind of start to feel like the bad guy a little bit, like, because you're just beating up on these. You're working for all these corporations to beat up on the native people of this planet, basically. And then sure enough, there's like some really interesting missions that like happen like right after that. Like literally the next day after we record that episode, I got on a plane, played a couple episodes, I think I said, missions. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I did not expect that. It's so cool. And again, like characters are just evolving, and the story, I don't know. I guess I'm just surprised. I say all that and I probably sound all over the place and scattered, but to boil it down, to kind of focus my thoughts a little bit, I'm just surprised because it's a From Software game. So many of their games are all about the vague world storytelling. Like you just kind of pick up little bits and pieces of lore, and there's still that happening in Armored Core, don't get me wrong. But I love how there is a little more focus on actually like telling you a story to an extent. And like, oh, okay, I'm picking up what's going on. I'm learning about the history of places and things and stuff. Like you're just Elden Ring, it was just very much like you get drip fed this very, very tiny, you know, drip feed of like story throughout it. And you gotta like read lore and all this stuff. Or just make it up, you know, just make it up in your head. That's what I always did. Or I love an Armored Core. They're just like, oh no, yeah, here's what happened, and here's that, and you know, you get like codec calls, basically, kind of like these calls from different characters and your handler and stuff like that, where they're like talking to you and sharing things. You get emails and all sorts of stuff for just like hearing about the world, what's going on, and so it's just very different from the other From Software games. I appreciate it. I'm like, they're doing a good job. I wish they'd do this in their other games too, because there's a lot of cool lore and stories in those games, but they make you work so dang hard for it. So yeah, I'm liking it a lot. For just an action game, I'm just surprised too that there's that much investment in lore as well.
Would you recommend this game to somebody whose only experience with the Armored Core series is a PS1 Pizza Hut demo of the first game?
I mean, that's all my experience was, basically, is that.
And I thought you have played a few of these, no?
I originally was introduced on the Pizza Hut demo disc, and then I think we rented the first one a couple times. But that was it. So I basically went from like 1 to 6. They don't build off each other story-wise. It's very similar to like a Final Fantasy type thing. I think there's there's a couple spin-offs where like there's Armored Core 2 and there's Armored Core 2 : something or something like that, and then those build off each other. But the rest of them, as far as I know, they don't actually build off each other. I just went Hulk mode again on video. So yeah, I don't, story wise, you're totally fine to just jump right in. The only reason, I can't think of any reason why it wouldn't be worth diving in, even gameplay wise. Like, this game is difficult, but is much easier than other From Software games. And what I really appreciate Armored Core so far is that there's kind of two ways about it, like about beating bosses and stuff like that, because not every mission has a boss, but there's like little mini bosses and stuff like that, or high priority targets and stuff you can go after. If you can't initially beat it, there's usually two ways to beat up. Either learn the pattern and do the typical From Software thing where it's like, all right, if I just play this pixel perfect, I can take them out.
Bash your head against the wall.
Yeah, there's that. Or what I love about this is they give you the option you can replay old missions, make money, make a bunch of cash, upgrade your mech, and just blast your way through the enemy. Like, all right, well, if I can't beat you with finesse, I'm just gonna beat you with a big gun, you know. And I appreciate that, because it's like typical From Software fashion. Like, they don't give you a difficulty. Like, you can't choose to play easy, normal, or hard. Like, it's just hard all the time. But I feel like that's their way of giving you like the easy, like, oh, okay, you're having a hard time,
Let's just push you along.
Yeah, grind out a couple missions, save some money up, and then because you can replay old missions that you already did, replay the old missions, get some cash, and then go back to the current mission you're on, and then upgrade your mech and just blow the guy away or whatever. So it's very much more accessible than other From Software titles as well. So, and again, the fact that it runs so good on my PC, I can get like 60, even more. I think I was getting like 120 FPS, like ultra settings and stuff, because it's running in the same engine as Elden Ring. Like, it is using that same engine.
That makes sense.
But it's not an open world game, so it's like using that engine, but in these like missions, like smaller areas, like really helps. So it's that, and then on Steam Deck it runs so good. Like, is this the perfect game? I can't get enough of it. Like, I don't know if it's my game of the year. Like, Baldur's Gate 3 is amazing, but it's up there. Armored Core 6 really knocked it out of the park, so highly recommend.
I'll add it to the ever-growing list.
And I could talk about Baldur's Gate 3 as well, because I got to play. I convinced my buddy up there to get it, and we played some multiplayer. It was pretty fun doing a little 2-player co-op. It's I'd played co-op before with like Boba Fletch and Dan and those guys, and then like we did some 4-player co-op, and then this time it is 2-player, and it's a little different. I don't know if I feel like if you're going to do multiplayer in Baldur's Gate, it needs to be all or nothing, like all 4 players, or you just don't do it. Because the thing we ran into was he still he hosted the game, so he controls the other 2 NPCs. So basically, like, during normal, like, walking around the overworld and interacting with people, that's fine, because we can all move at the same time. But when you go into combat, it goes into turn-based mode. And it's like, basically I would go, and then I have to wait for all the NPCs to go, like all the enemies to go, and wait for my friend to control 3 characters.
I was gonna say, like, so he'd have to basically take 3 turns.
Exactly. It's like, well, like, too bad. Like, it would be cool if they added the feature to where he could give one of the NPCs to me. So like, he's controlling 2 and I'm controlling 2. As far as we can tell, you can't do that. But
Larian has thought of so many things, dude. I wouldn't be surprised if that's on their list of like, okay, we'll get to it in a second. You know?
Yeah. But otherwise, Baldur's Gate 3 is still amazing. If you haven't gotten it, go check it out. And I heard they're adding crossplay soon, because it's already out. It's out on PS5, and then the rumor is that it's coming to Xbox sooner or later. Not the rumor; it's been announced by Larian. Like, so sometime later this year, it's coming to Xbox, and they're already in the works of crossplay. So that way, if you get it on PS5 or Xbox, you can play with the PC players, vice versa. So it's pretty sick.
That could be interesting, because I'm hearing great things about the PS5 port. It basically, like, it's 1-to-1 with the PC version. So
yeah, I mean, so it's probably the same version that I play on my Steam Deck, because like, or even on PC, when you control, and I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago too. It's strange, but on my PC, if I play with mouse and keyboard, the interface looks one way, and the second I plug a controller in, it's like a completely different interface. Like, it's very different. It's crazy. Right. So like, basically the PC version has a console version built into it. So all they had to do for PS5 was just cut out the keyboard and mouse support, and that's it. It's the same game, just without the keyboard and mouse support. So
right.
Pretty.
You can plug a keyboard and mouse into a PS5 though, so maybe they will have both.
True. That would be kind of neat, actually. But yeah, so go play Baldur's Gate 3 as well. Armored Core and Baldur's Gate 3. Those are the 2 games of the year so far. You heard it here first.
Go play any game in 2023. I mean, you got a 90% chance of it being great. So
exactly. All right, we should probably wrap this bad boy up. So thank you all so much for watching and listening. We appreciate each and every one of you who listen on podcast services around the globe, those who watch over at youtube.com/supergamerboys, or if you catch us live on Monday evenings over at twitch.tv/thesupergamerboys. We appreciate each and every why did I say appreciate each and every one of you.
Okay, trendsetter.
And if you really love what we do and want to help support us grow and make cool, bigger, better things, think about going over to patreon.com/supergamerboys and starting at just throwing us $1 a month and testing the waters out. If you still really like what we do, like our content, want to help us make more, there's always higher tiers you can upgrade to. So think about it. Go check it out. If you want something more tangible, you want to support us, and you're like, hey, I want something I can put on my body. Think about going to sgbstore.com. You could buy a t-shirt or a coffee mug. You can put that on your body as well, I guess, or in your body.
Making it worse.
You can buy stickers as well. You can put those on your body. Go over to sgbstore.com, buy some sweet merch, help support the show. Shout out again to DJ Trues. Shout out to Trouser Schnauzer for hitting 100 consecutive streaming days, capping off a 24-hour stream, and having some killer music in the background of this very episode. And if you like it, make sure to go over to Apple Music or Spotify. Links will be in the show description on YouTube and podcast services. Make sure to go show them some love and support. Add them to your playlist. Listen to them all the time because DJ Trues is da bomb. You can find us during the week at supergamerboys.com, Twitter and Instagram at supergamerboys. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at gmorlang. Adrian, where can they find you at?
I am any and everywhere at Homeboy.
That's right. And that is all I have. So Adrian, go ahead and take us out.
You got it, folks. As always, thanks for hanging out with us for another week of the Super Gamer Boys podcast. We always appreciate when you just come and hang out with us. Even if you're just here to watch, it helps. I always say that same thing. I'm going to keep saying it. We would be talking about this stuff with or without a camera on us. So it just happens to be that some folks want us to hang out and, listen to us yammer on. And we are extremely grateful about that.
Appreciate all, yeah.
Every single time. I honestly cannot believe that so many people want to, hear what we got to say. But sure enough, we must be doing something. Okay. We the numbers they're going up. It's not even about that, but you got to take it into account. It's kind of weird to be honest.
It's weird.
But yes, like I said, we are always grateful for anybody who even just stops by, or even if you just tell somebody, hey, I know you're into video games, you might like this podcast, check it out. Yeah, you're in here. We couldn't do it without you. And yeah, for myself, Mr. Adrian Homeboy Holmes, and for Mr. Garrett Morlang, we are the Super Gamer Boys,
and we'll catch you in the flippity flop. Oh no, it's been too long.
No,
I forgot it. Oh no,
now we can't end.
Oh, we're stuck in an endless cycle of podcasting.
This is what we get for making fun of Starfield.